Hello, Huntley Hotspurs. My predictions for Premier League Game Week 11, as well as my Europa League prediction for Tottenham Hotspur tonight at 7:45 South African time. Okay, first game. I think first things first, let's discuss the Europa League fixture tonight for Tottenham. They will be playing Galatasaray away from home at 7:45 South African time. So for theirs in the UK, that's going to be quarter to six their time. All right. So what do I think is going to happen? Look, Spurs are quite injury ridden at the moment. Romero out for this game. Van der Ven out for this game. Mikey Moore not travelling because he's sick, not injured, luckily. Odegaard still injured. Richarlison injured. Werner injured. So we really are looking quite thin, I'll be honest. The starting lineup I probably would like to see, or I can imagine happening because of, wanting to rotate players and looking at which players played how many minutes last week and kind of fathoming how much they might get tonight. The lineup I've gone with as my predicted is I think we'll have to put Son on the left just because there's absolutely no one else. And he's going to have to, unfortunately, play the full 90 minutes. So maybe that was clever of Ange to take him off early on in the second half in last weekend. Because, I think he's going to need to be fully fit for this game, for the whole game. I'd put Johnson on the right. Yet again, no Moore, no Odegaard to try and compensate there. Do we put Kulu back on the right? I don't know. He's really not shown promise there. I think you'd rather want him as a midfield option. So I think Johnson, yet again, probably going to have to play a full 90. Then Lancashire, I would put him actually as the starting striker. Then with obviously the safety blanket, if, second half we're struggling or midway through the second half we're really struggling, we need someone to change the game, then bring on Solanke. But I think try with Lancashire as much as you can because we can't keep giving Solanke full 90s all the time. We want to keep him fresh. Then I think in the midfield, I think this is probably where I'd play the strongest players. Just because I know Galatasaray are very physical. They're going to want to take the game to us. They're going to be very aggressive. We're going to need someone to protect that black line, especially from the likes of people like Victor Osimhen, Yilmaz, all those kind of big players that play for Galatasaray, which they don't have the worst squad, it must be said. They've got some very good attackers there at the moment. So, I think you want a strong midfield there. So I think I'd probably put Maddison. He got only 10 minutes in the Villa game. I think he should try and push through the entire of this game. I'd put Maddison there in the DM role, the number 6. I'd probably put Basuma. I think he's good enough going forward, but also he can put in he's got a bit of physicality to him, a bit of Britishness to him, so he can really protect maybe, but still offer us something going forward. And then I'd put Bergvall in the 8. I think maybe it's a bit of a toxic atmosphere for someone as young as Bergvall to be starting. Maybe you'd want a Saar or a Bentancur there instead. But you know what? Got to give Bergvall some minutes. Got to get him on the pitch. Got to get him playing. Just like Lancashire. The two of them, if they want to prove that they can be Spurs quality going forward, they've got to perform even in these toxic away environments with very hostile crowds and against very physical players. Let's see what Bergvall can do. Throw him in there. Then in the back four, unfortunately, Van der Ven, Romero not available. So I think we'd be forced to play Davies and Dragusin as left and right centre-backs respectively. And then, you know what, I think we're going to have to start quite strong on the wing-backs. I'm going to go for Doggy and Porro at the right back and the left back position. And then in goal, I think I would go for Brandon Austin. I think it's not going to be Vicario. It's probably going to be Fraser Forster. But yeah, I think maybe I would just give Austin a bit of a go. Really, just give him some time. I would give Austin that. That's my prediction for what I would, if I was Ange, that's what I would pick as my starting 11 for this Galatasaray game. But yeah, let's see what happens. But the left wing is certainly not a mystery because Son is literally the only person fit and that can play in that left wing slot. So left wing's definitely going to be Son. All right. What do I think is going to happen? My prediction is it's tough. I'm going to say a draw. Could be anything, but I'm going to go for 2-2. Galatasaray 2, Tottenham 2. Yeah, I think a draw would actually be an okay result for this match. Okay, next, now on to my predictions for Premier League Game Week 11. First game, Wolves versus Southampton. You know what? Wolves got to get 3 points somewhere. They're going to do it this weekend. Southampton probably have a bit of false confidence now after beating Everton for narrow 1-0. But I think Wolves are going to put them back in their place. Wolves have been scoring goals recently. They just haven't been on the right end of results. I think they will be on this match day. I'm going to go for Wolves 2, Southampton no. Second game, West Ham Everton. Bye-bye Lopetegui. I'm going for a West Ham 1, Everton 1. It's going to be 1 point and it's going to keep West Ham down in the dumps. Bye-bye Lopetegui. Brentford versus Bournemouth. I'm going to go for Brentford 2, Bournemouth 1. Now, I know this sounds a bit outlandish after Bournemouth have literally, beaten Arsenal, drew with Villa, and beat Man City to now say they're going to lose to Brentford. But you can't just keep winning all the time. And Brentford also similarly, they threw away that lead against Fulham. They're going to want something. I think they're going to get all 3 points. Brentford 2, Bournemouth 1. Fourth game, Crystal Palace, Fulham. I think Spurs are going to be the only team still that gives them a win. I think Fulham are actually going to do it here. I'm going to go Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 1. Fifth game, Brighton versus Man City. I think it's going to be a very tight game and a game where maybe City fans think, oh my word, are we on for a 5th consecutive loss? But they're going to win. I'm going to go Brighton 1, Manchester City 2. Next game, Liverpool versus Aston Villa. I think this will be a convincing win for Liverpool. I don't think they're going to win 4-1, but I'm going to go that they win 3-1 against Aston Villa. Next game, Manchester United versus Leicester. Man United smashed Leicester 5-2 in the Carabao Cup. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as that, but I do still think it's going to be a Man United win. It's going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy's final game in charge of Man United before they start the Ruben Amorim era. So I'm going to go Man United 2, Leicester 0. The third last game, Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle. I think Nottingham Forest are going to continue their very good form. And I think they're going to get a very creditable draw against Newcastle. I think Newcastle won't lose. I think they will manage to get something out of this game. They got all 3 points against Arsenal. Pressure might be a little bit off them this week. I think they're going to get a draw of Nottingham Forest. Forest 1, Newcastle 1. Second last game, Tottenham versus Ipswich. Now look, you don't want Tottenham to be Dr. Tottenham again. Crystal Palace hadn't won all season until they played us. Ipswich haven't won all season. They're now playing us. Yeah, let's not be Dr. Tottenham. Let's rather be coroner Tottenham like we were with West Ham and Man United. Put in a convincing display. We're at home again. Let's get a win here. Maybe let's even try and keep a clean sheet if we can, but obviously touch wood. I'm going to go for Tottenham 3, Ipswich 0. Final game, Chelsea versus Arsenal. Ooh, this is the big 6 clash of the weekend. And you know what? Arsenal, they're really going to want to pick up 3 points here. And I think they will, even though they're away at Stamford Bridge. I think it's going to be Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2. And that's my predictions for Premier League Game Week 11. We'll check back next week to see how I've done. And as always, come on you Spurs.